There was a summer when I was around 15, 16. I don't recall exactly the age. And instead of me spending it outside, swimming, meeting people, doing stuff, cycling around like it's Stranger Things from the 80s, I spent my time in Azeroth. So yeah, I don't have, I never had a alcohol past or drugs. But the one thing that really always stood out to me was World of Warcraft. And it all started with one summer where my sister had a friend who had a subscription. And it was during the Burning Crusade expansion. And he had an orc warlock that he positioned in 1,000 needles. For those who play World of Warcraft, they know exactly what I mean. And I believe the character was like 42, 43. And he said to me, "Oh, you can play on it." I was like, "Okay." And I played I played Warcraft 2. I played Warcraft 3. So I kind of knew, and I really loved Warcraft. First of all, the name. Secondly, the characters: Arthas, Illidan. King Lane. I like Alliance Horde. But I always flocked towards my paladin boy, Arthas. I think he was one of the greatest characters ever written. Next to Illidan, I think he's still great as well. Anyway, so I had this storyline in my head, and I had seen the trailer of World of Warcraft like a couple of years before that. So I knew about World of Warcraft. I just, because of the subscription fee, and I was too young, I was like, I can't, like, I want to play, but I can't, right? And it was way before the trial stuff where you can level for free to play until level 20 or something. It was in the early days of World of Warcraft. So I think my journey started in 2008, I think. Something like that. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about right. 2008, 2009. It was just before the Rev of the Lich King expansion. So I was playing the orc warlock called Grumpy, and I had no clue. Like, he didn't explain to me what I had to do. And that was the first time that I ever touched an MMO. I did play RuneScape, but it's not an MMO, right? But I had this idea of like leveling, so I kind of understood the concept of it, but I had no idea of like, I mean, I did quests, but only like in one spot. So for roughly 4 to 6 weeks, I spent my entire summer hopping around 1,000 needles and killing mobs. And by the end of those 2 weeks, I leveled like 2 or 3 levels. And then he said, like, "Oh, you leveled?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, like, "What level are you?" I'm like, 45. He said, like, "Oh, why didn't you go here?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like, I didn't want to move your character. Like, I was afraid that he was going to get mad at me if I would move the character, right?" Then he said, "Oh, no, you could have done anything." I was like, "Oh, well, if I had known that, I probably would have traveled somewhere, walked somewhere." I didn't make a new character that I leveled, I think, till level 10 or something. But because, like I said, the Orc Warlock was his main character, I was like, I don't want to touch it too much. I want to level it because I really liked, like the shoulders, had like spikes, had like the, the cowl on. It was a super cool character. So anyway, fast forward a year into the future, or 2 years. I don't recall, because I don't know when Rev of the Lich King dropped, but I was older, obviously. I saw the cinematic. I was completely in love with it. I was like, yeah, like Arthas returns, as the Death Knight, as the Lich King. Tragic story. If you don't know anything about it, I'm not gonna utter it here. There are many lore videos on YouTube that you can watch. It's a really tragic story, and in those 6 weeks that I played, let me just rewind it real quick. I was hooked, right? So like, I waited an entire summer. I was really addicted. So when I had to give the account back, I was kind of upset. It's not that I knew it was mine. It was just more like I was so invested in this character, and like in the new character that I made, it, like I said, was like level 10 or something. I don't know, something like that. I was just not happy. I don't believe it was a human paladin. Was it I was a blood elf. It could have been a blood elf paladin because later on I made a blood elf paladin myself, but whatever. So I started my journey just before the launch, I believe, of the Lich King. It's kind of fuzzy to me. So I was able to level it, and stupid me, if I would have just started a character fresh and would have like understood the mechanics, then I probably would have leveled his character to like 50 or something, and probably would have gone to like the what's it called, the Unguro crater or something. You know, like you go like through Terrazan, and after Terrazan you go to the Unguro crater, and then you eventually would move on to the Blasted Lands, and then you go to the portal, blah blah blah. But like I said, I was a noob. I had no clue. So in hindsight, I should have done, you know, start a new character level, but whatever. So I finally, you know, was like I made an account and I logged in, and my first character was a troll rogue. I don't remember what name I gave it, but it was kind of obscure. It's kind of silly, stupid. And I leveled it until 50. Then I got kind of bored of it because I don't know how it is now because I haven't touched the game in years. But my problem with the troll rogue was that if it would have like a bandana and stuff, it would go around the tusks and it would not like close it off. And I did not like it. It looked really silly. And you could turn off obviously like the the head stuff, but it just looks stupid, right? It would have like a helmet on and like the tusk would like get through it. It was just dumb. So I stopped at level 50, 45, I don't know, I was close to 60, but I was like, this character's dumb. And so I made a new character, and I believe I started with a Blood Elf female paladin, later on turned into a human paladin, then turned back to Blood Elf paladin, and now it's still a Blood Elf paladin. And the reason why I switched, because like later on you were able to switch, right? But I was like, oh, Blood Elf paladin, female, she looks kind of cool. I was like, why not? So I leveled that thing up, and I was completely hooked. I was like obsessed. I almost screwed up my school, to the point where I had very low grades. And thankfully, I had the realization that I had to change something. I had to change my behavior because I was even playing it at school, and there were other classmates who were playing it as well. And yeah, I just, like I said, I just kind of screwed up. So I was leveling through the years. Then eventually I rolled into IT school. So I was already playing the game for like, by then, maybe 3 or 4 years or something like that. So even during class, I was playing the game. Really bad. I shouldn't have done it, but I did. You know, it's just choices I made as a teenager growing up. And eventually I was max level, and I remember I had an exam and I didn't even learn for it. Thankfully I passed, like barely, but I managed. And I just couldn't step away from the game. I was so obsessed with it. I was obsessed with like every quest, everything, every story beat, every armor thing. Everything had to be epic, and like raiding, but raiding took a long time. So eventually I moved to PvP because I was able to take breaks because of school, right? So it was like quick PvP into the battlegrounds. Eventually I would team up with like my classmates for like arena 2v2, 3v3. And I was just obsessed. I was drinking a shitload of energy drinks with it, like Bullet and Red Bull and stuff like that. Even to the point where my parents would tell me like, you really need to quit, you know, because I was blinking my eyes really fast, like I was the Flash, you know. Like, it was horrible. And I also stayed up very late. Like I would go to bed at like 11:15. And I would have to wake up at 6 because I had to catch the train. So I had very little sleep, and eventually my entire body was like degrading. I was incredibly skinny. I had pale skin. my eyes, you know, like those backs below your eyes, they were completely like blue purple, you know. And then I would like drink the energy drink so I could like stay awake at school. But it was just a stupid time for me. Then eventually, after years, when I was almost done with my with my school, I was like, I can't continue like this. And there was also like the sort of waning feeling or something, that it was too much of a repeat. And you know, I got to the point of Icecrown. I did the 25-man raid, and I believe that was the biggest one. I don't remember if there was like a 40-man raid back then. I can't remember that anymore. Because like the Oryx layer and stuff, like, you know, the original had like 40-man raids, but I'm not sure if that like continued through. I don't remember that, if I'm being completely honest. I believe so, but I do remember the 25-man raid. I was a tank, almost fully geared. I still had some blues, and this was like I mean, I wanted to quit, but I couldn't because I really wanted to feed Arthas. I avoided all spoilers, and he was, like I say, he was my guy. So I was kind of sad to kill him at Icecrown, like ICC, or like Icecrown Citadel, right? And it was also like in the time of like people were still making animations of World of Warcraft. Like, it was like a huge game then, right? I believe it had like 8 to 10 million people worldwide, and people were making remixes and stuff. So I would like listen to this song called "No King Lives Forever," which was a remix of Icecrown, and it had like Sylvana speaking, and then like you know, big stand with like the song, I believe, of the trailer, and it was so good. So I was like playing that game, and I was like defeating like, you know, like all these bosses until the point of like Arthas. And I was like so obsessed with like, I need to get this guy down. I need to kill him. You know, I skipped the 10-man raids. I was really focused on the 25, you know, for better gear. And also like the mount drop. I know that was extremely rare, but I was like, if I can get that thing, like I'd be like, I don't know, cloud 9. So I was listening to that, drinking like as much as Red Bull as I could, you know, because like these raids last a long time, right? They could sometimes last for 3 to 4 hours, depending on how often you would wipe. And eventually, I got to that moment, and I was standing in front of Arthas, and he was like so bulky and big. I was like, right, like, you know. And he started talking, you know, and it was like so cool. And I believe we wiped twice, and then we got through the first stage, sorry. And I was just in complete awe because I was off tank. So like it would do like Arthas would do like spells, and you had to like off tank it, and then they had to like debuff the other character, like the other tank, and then like it would be like vice versa. And it was so cool standing so close to Arthas, and just to be in the presence of this character that I mean, I didn't grow up with him necessarily, but more like the storyline of Warcraft 3 woven into like, you know, Rev of the Lich King expansion, and then eventually killing him. So I was completely like zoned in on like, how's this gonna, like, what's gonna happen? Like, is Arthas become Arthas again, or is he gonna stay the Lich King, or like, is he gonna die? I'm like, he can't die, right? Like, it's impossible. He like this one of the coolest characters ever. So when I eventually got through that, then we got like the cinematic, and he died, obviously, and I was happy and sad at the same time. And I don't know if that like kind of stopped the addiction, but like that was a moment of realization of like the hundreds of hours that I spent in this game. Somehow it was like, it was kind of like, if I can defeat him, it's like I fulfilled my duty as a WoW player. That's what it felt like. But I was still obsessed with the game. I was still addicted to it. So I would still occasionally still do like 10-man raids, because, you know, they were much easier to get into. Like, you didn't have to like looking for a raid. You still had to like find a group together and hoping that people would stick, or you would like join a raiding guild and stuff. But after I defeated him it just kind of like it waned the whole feeling of needing to play or something. I did try to play like another characters because I had many different characters. I still had my troll rogue. I had like a shaman. I had a druid. I had a warrior. I had a priest, death knight. So I had a whole bunch of things, but like the pally was like my main, and like I don't know if it just maybe you hit like a certain point in your life where you're like, okay, I'm going to quit, or like you change your perspective on life. You're like, okay, well, I did what I wanted to do and now it's over, right? Whatever it may be. It was like after that, I just didn't log in for like 10 days, and it wasn't me. I was like more focused on school. I was like more focused on like other things. I was even playing other games at the time. It was like, oh, this is weird, right? Like I'm not used to, like I was so addicted to like, wow, like nothing else had any other priority for me than WoW. Maybe back then, and maybe if I would have streamed, I would have been the next Asmongold. Who knows? But I didn't like my thinking pattern wasn't even like on like that kinds of stuff. I just was just me, my own little world, potato headset on, you know. So my thought wasn't really at live streaming or something. Maybe if I would have done it, but then I probably had like, you probably had seen like the most shittiest version of me ever. Anyway, after that, I still had some other characters that I tried to level, but it was kind of like same old, same old. I mean, different abilities, sure, but it was like, it became extremely still for me. But then I decided to stop. I just had this click and I quit. I came back for Cataclysm. I had to level my character. I was like, oh, well, you know, maybe I can get into the groove again. But it had like talent, like your talent tree was like reset and stuff. You had to like redo that shit again, and I had to level again, and then your old gear was like, you know, it wasn't no longer good. Yeah, maybe for the first 2 levels when you level, and then it's like, you know, it's like crap. And then your beautiful epic gear gets like replaced with stupid greens. Awful choice. I never understood that by Blizzard, but whatever. I did, because I believe that was also when they introduced looking for a raid stuff. So I did do that a couple of times. I did a Deathwing thing where we were like on his back. I did got a couple of epics, but it just didn't feel the same for me. You know, it was different. It was like I could just drop out of the raid and just move on from it. Like it's not that I was like obsessed with getting like the best gear or something. I quit again, then Mr. Pandaria came out. I tried, I didn't like it. I quit it again. Which is funny because like I bought that month of subscription and I only played for 1 week. I made a goblin character, I think, was that with Mr. Pandaria? I didn't go with like a Pandaren. I did not like it. It wasn't for me. I believe then I made a goblin character. I leveled it to like level 15 and I quit. So I wasted an entire month of like subscription, right? Sad money, by the way. I mean, it was like what, like $15? I mean, yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not like I couldn't manage that, right? But it was kind of silly to buy like a subscription you don't play, right? So I quit again. Then I believe it was at the end of Draenor, I think, where I bought another subscription and leveled my pally, only my pally. And I was like, yeah, I don't like this game anymore. I quit again, and then I came back with Shadowlands. One of the worst decisions of my life to come back then, because Shadowlands was just shit. I mean, it's one of the weakest expansions, in my opinion, that they ever brought out. And the reason why I always returned, and by the way, after Shadowlands, I haven't returned, by the way. So I didn't do Dragonflight and stuff. It's just not my game anymore. And they've also changed way too much. Like Alliance and Horde can like work together now, or like even raid together. It's bullshit. I mean, it's called World of Warcraft for a reason, in my opinion, but whatever. I'm not a designer or producer or engineer, level designer, whatever is at Blizzard. The game just fell out of place for me. And the reason why I went back to it is because I thought maybe with every new expansion, there's maybe something new that you could try out, that you could feel like, you know, feel that feeling again of like, oh, like this is it. Oh, now I can come back. Not to get addicted again, but more like a game that you really want to go back to, right? And also like the heirlooms. I mean, that's also like a thing for me, but whatever. You know, I'm old school, like I'm traditional in that way, you know, like I just level without heirlooms. Or I would. If you would ask me now what my opinion is on WoW, I would never return to it for what it became. I am skipping something, actually. I am skipping the fact that they brought back World of Warcraft Classic, which I played, which was really nice. I hooked up with some old friends, talked about live, how things are going, blah, blah, blah. Leveled until level 30, and then I was done with the game. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna... I mean, I think Classic is awesome, but I just can't do this journey again. It's eating way too much of my time. Way too much. And I was afraid, because of how Classic feels, it has this sort of like 2004 vibe. Like you get sucked into the world, you're like, you feel like you're 15 again or something. And I needed to stop myself from that. So, although I really would have loved to keep continue, I guess, to some extent, but I also I also stopped myself. So I quit at, what was it, level 30 or 31 or something like that. Like I quit myself. I was like, if I continue, I'm gonna screw myself over, I think. Because it felt too familiar, it felt too old school, it felt too good. I was like, no, I can't do this. So I quit. And it's not that I still have that excitement anymore as what I had then, but there's sort of like a nostalgia thing that I really enjoy when it comes to WoW, or at least Classic WoW now. But yeah, there has nothing ever been able to suck me in. And maybe because I spent thousands of hours in Azeroth, that it kind of also screwed up other things. And what I mean by that is like maybe other games or something that you could enjoy, but because it ate so much of my time, you know, I was just like, you know, this is it. This is the game that I'm going to play for years. But I didn't. And I'm glad it didn't, because I didn't totally screw up my life, thankfully. But yeah, like that was kind of like one of the biggest, no, that was my addiction. I almost said one of the biggest, but I don't have a different addiction. I never had another addiction. Like my addiction was 100% World of Warcraft. And thank God it only stayed with that one. I didn't redo it with another MMO or other game. There were games that I really liked. Other MMOs like Wildstar, I think, was super cool. Until they shut it down. I think Final Fantasy 14 was cool, but it didn't give me the same feeling because I was older, so I knew what it could do to me. So I was always kind of like taken aback and like holding myself in, you know. But the excitement from first entering Azeroth, yeah, like that was such a magic moment. Like you can never replicate that, or at least I couldn't. So, yeah, so like now I'm curious, like, do you have an addiction? If you do or had an addiction when it comes to like gaming or maybe something else, like how were you able like to pull out of it? Like were you just like me that like you had the realization, you were like, I'm gonna stop today, like I did my thing, you know, like I said, I reached Lich King, killed, and I was like, oh, okay, this is it? Or something else, like whatever it is, let me know, because I'm super curious, because I think there's a lot of things that we can debate here when it comes to how people can deal with it, or how people started and how they dealt with it, and then eventually were able to end it. So, yeah, let me know if you want.